How about this? I will record it. And then let me see. I will go ahead and record it, and then we will make the link available to everybody.
Recording in progress.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. Nikki Charlson with the State Board of Elections. Thanks for joining us today. Just wanted to give some general information about what we're seeing and hearing this morning, and then happy to turn it over to questions. So we've had a smooth morning of voting. We know that a couple instances of polling places open late, but everything is open now and voting is going on. Just a couple reminders about today. The voting locations are all open until 8 p.m. today. Voters in line at 8 will still get to vote even if they don't get to cast their vote until after 8 o'clock. But it's important that people are in line at 8 o'clock and they will get to vote. Also a reminder that we have same-day registration available for individuals who are not yet registered to vote. So they should go to the polling place assigned to where they live and bring a proof of residency with them, and they'll be able to register and vote. If they're not sure where to go vote, if you all could promote our polling place locator on our website, that's elections.maryland.gov. There's a link to find your polling place or find your voting location. And that's where we want voters to get to the polling place assigned to their residence so they get the right ballot. So getting people to the right place today is important so that they can get their ballot. It didn't matter so much during early voting because they could go anywhere in their county where they live. But today it's a little different. For voters who are voting by mail, today is also super important for them. The ballot boxes are open until 8 p.m. tonight. So if they want to return it at a ballot box, they can do that by 8 o'clock. If they prefer to return it by mail, the key is that it has to be postmarked today. So putting it in a mailbox doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's postmarked today. So they need to be paying attention to where they're dropping it off. Hopefully they need to drop it off before the mail is picked up or take it to a local post office. Also, any voting location today will accept voted ballots. So they can also find a polling place, take it inside, and the judges inside will have a receptacle for storing and returning those voted mail-in ballots. We issued a media advisory yesterday about the schedule for reporting results tonight. I just wanted to go through this quickly. I'm happy to answer more questions if you have additional questions about this process. So when the polls close tonight at 8 o'clock, and once any voter in line is inside the voting room, then we will start releasing results. So the first set of results will be early voting results and mail-in voting results from any local board that counted mail-in ballots before Election Day. It'll be very obvious on our homepage what that looks like. So mid-afternoon today, if you go to our website, the page is going to look different. It's going to be all queued up for results. And you'll see a column for early voting. You'll see a column for Election Day. You'll see a column for MIB, which is mail-in ballots. And so as we release results, the early voting column will fill up. The mail-in ballot column will fill up for those counties that counted ballots before Election Day. So it may seem confusing now, but it'll be clear once you see the page who is releasing mail-in ballot results today and who is not. And those that aren't are those that didn't count any before Election Day. And then as we move through the evening, it will be our normal rolling out of results as we receive them. And so just you'll be monitoring it. The page refreshes every 10 minutes, and you can just monitor that page throughout the evening as you wait for results to come in. I can't give you an end time, but just the website is really the best place to monitor the results. And then starting on Thursday, all of the local boards will convene to count mail-in ballots. For some counties, they'll be starting their canvass while others will continue. And then the results will be posted on the website for mail-in ballots every day that a local board counts them. We've added a new information from the primary. There's a column on the table that's last update date. So you'll be able to see when each county's results have last been updated. So I hope that clears up some of the questions that you all had from the primary, trying to figure out who was counting what day and whether the results were included. So again, happy to answer those questions and any others. Those were my what I wanted to just share with all of you specifically. And Rick, I'm happy to take the questions as they're coming in.
Sure. I'm going to kick it to Steve Thompson, who was first in the chat box and has at least 2 questions. So I'll let you go first, Steve.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys doing this. Steve Thompson with the Washington Post. First question was, what percentage of the mail-in votes has been counted, or do you know that, or is it possible to find out? What percentage of the mail-in votes has been already canvassed, already counted? Do we know?
So we will be posting today a report on our website called Ballots Left to Count, which is going to show all of that, right? How many have been counted so far? How many are left to count? And then we will be updating that frequently over the next 10 to 12 days. So just check our website later, probably late afternoon, early evening, we'll have that posted, but that should answer that question for you.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that it, Steve, or did you want to ask us the second one about the late voting suggestion, or?
Sure, yeah, let's see. Oh, I had 2 there. One was, there was some report, the DOJ put out some press release, they're going to have poll watchers in like a whole bunch of different places. One of them was Prince George's County, Maryland. And I was just wondering if y'all knew the reason for that, or what's going on there.
So we were alerted that the Department of Justice is going to be there. Prince George's County is a newly designated jurisdiction that has to have voting materials in Spanish. They have voluntarily been doing it for years, but under the Voting Rights Act, they are now newly designated as a jurisdiction that has to do that. I don't know much more about it than that. Prince George's Board of Elections might be the best place to follow up, but we were aware that they were coming, and so was the local board.
And that was your understanding of the general rationale of this new rule that would apply there?
That's our understanding, but again, the local board might know more.
Okay, and then the vote late suggestion by some folks out on the campaign trail. People are candidates or supporters urging people to vote at 6 p.m. You know, wait as long as you can. Are y'all expecting any issues out of that? Is that going to cause any problems that you know of, or is that on your radar?
Well, it's certainly on our radar. We are aware of those suggestions for people to vote. The polling places are all open till 8 o'clock. And again, if you're in line at 8 o'clock, you'll get to vote. So typically after work hours is a busy time anyway. So the election judges are prepared for voters showing up all the way until 8 o'clock, and they'll process them.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks.
Tommy Clark, get the next question.
Hey, Nikki, long time no see.
Yes, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. So our morning team just has been going out and about gathering details from voters. A few things we've heard is some polling locations have opened a little late or had some malfunctions. Other people were told to come back later at one spot. And then the main one we've been hearing is at Bowie, 60 people or so were turned away. They said they were told it's because of Biden's visit, that they were starting later. So just wondering if you have any comment on any of this going on this morning.
So Bowie State is one of the locations that we were aware of late opening. They are voting and open now. And so we had heard that they were starting to use their contingency plan. All the polling places have a contingency plan in place in case the poll books are not working as expected or the voting system isn't working as expected. It's my understanding there it was the poll books. And they started implementing their contingency plan at 8:40, and by 9:40 they were open as normal.
The other ones, just my part 2 to my question, sound like more minor. Is that normal for your team to kind of see some opening a little late, some malfunctions in spots? Any comment on the littler ones?
So I guess just in terms of malfunctions, I'm not sure if it's malfunctions or just challenges setting them up. We often have a few polling places that open up a little bit late, but I'm pleased to say that all of them are up and have been running for several hours now.
Joel McCord from WYPR.
Yeah, hi Nikki, hi Rick. Haven't seen you in a while. Have you heard anything about Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, that sort, voter intimidation at any of the polls?
So we haven't received reports of that. We are coordinating closely with our local, federal, and state partners and are standing ready to respond if we do, but we haven't today.
Thank you.
Emily from the Baltimore Sun.
Hi there. I just wanted to check in. We've got some reports this morning about some upticks in provisional votes being cast at some city polling places. And I just want to see if there was any kind of trend that you're seeing, or if you think that might be more isolated.
I haven't, but I'm happy to look into that and get back to you, Emily.
Okay, thanks.
Katie from WRC, if you have a follow-up question, I know Nikki's already addressed issues in Prince George's County.
Yes, she did. I want to be careful as I ask this because it is hearsay at this point, but one of our tipsters who had or voters who had concern about what was happening in Prince George's mentioned that there may have been a city official standing outside the polling place telling people they should be concerned about casting a provisional ballot. And I wondered if you could just address to voters any concerns they should or should not have with voting provisional ballots.
So provisional voting is a fail-safe way of making sure that if there's any question about a voter's eligibility, that they can vote. Nobody is turned away. So provisional ballots are counted. Even if it doesn't change the outcome of the election, they're always counted by the local boards of elections. They're always counted by the local boards of elections. It takes some research. And so they are counted next week, but certainly before the election is certified on the 18th. So they're really, it takes a little bit longer because you have to fill out a form, but it's an equal vote to one that is scanned that day. The research is done later.
Serena Marshall, question about President Biden.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that earlier question that Biden's visit was not a reason in Bowie and for any reason.
I can't answer that. I know that their poll books were late in setting up, and that's
a poll book. Okay.
Rob, would you mind muting your line, please? Thank you. I don't know the reason. I know that the poll books were not ready for use at 7 a.m. and that's why they were a little late in opening and used their contingency plan.
Rob Lang with WBAL.
Hi, good morning, Nikki. Regarding turnout, are we going to be getting turnout updates through the day? I know in past years we have. Also, any projection of what turnout might be for in-person voting? I know that 18% have already voted either mail-in or early voting.
So during election day, we do not have the turnout data to push out like we do during early voting. It's just a different network that is set up for election day. So we don't have that available. It seems like what we're hearing anecdotally is that voting is steady, but cannot issue any numbers. We don't have them. And, we're ready for all the voters who are eligible to vote. We hope for a healthy turnout as we saw in mail-in voting and early voting in person.
Thanks.
Alan with WAMU.
Hi, good morning. So we have been hearing reports that voters are being encouraged to report any perceived voter fraud to a website. It's maryland.protectthevote.com. And if you look closely, it's actually sponsored by the RNC. Have there been any reports of voter fraud, and can you comment on the usage of this website? It was sent out by a campaign.
So we always encourage voters, if they have any questions or complaints, to call either our office or the local board of elections. We are best equipped to respond to any ongoing issues and handle complaints. We can't stop other groups from setting them up, but we encourage voters to contact their state or local election official and let us help solve the problem. That's what we're here and we're standing ready to do.
Great, thank you.
Katie, with the follow-up question, WRC.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned that, of course, you're working with state, local, federal partners in the event there are any issues with oath keepers, et cetera. Can you, and this is sort of a follow-up to what you were just saying, describe for our viewers, what is allowed when it comes to, quote, election watching, and when does it cross the line that you would need to engage any of your law enforcement partners to handle?
So every voting location and ballot box has a no electioneering zone. And that's the zone where nobody but voters who are going in to vote or coming out to vote can be. So there can't be any observers or watchers or whatever, any observers inside that 100-foot zone. So they have to be outside. And the election judges are familiar with that rule, and they will go outside and they will ask people who are inside that no electioneering zone to move outside. Outside that no electioneering zone, the rules are different. And so we ask voters if they feel that if they feel intimidated or in any way uncomfortable, that they can call their local election office. They can call their state board of elections. There are some hotlines that are available with the U.S. Attorney's Office to call. And we encourage voters to make those calls. And then depending on what happens, we will respond accordingly. So it's hard to say exactly the response, but we're all ready to proceed. Obviously, the primary purpose is if somebody is inside the 100-foot zone, they've got to leave. And the election judges have the authority to call local law enforcement to get them to leave if they are not following the order of the election judge.
Serena, follow-up?
Yes, I just was wondering if you could speak to any locations outside of the ones you mentioned earlier having delays at the start of voting that are already experiencing long lines or above average waits? And are there any locations that you're planning to monitor because they've experienced long lines in the past?
So I'm aware of 3 locations that opened late. We've talked about Bowie State and 2 others. I can't say whether there are lines there or not. The local board is probably the best place to find out if there are lines there. The other 2 were Potomac High School, which was in Oxon Hill. They started using their contingency plan at about 7:35 and are still up and running, no issues. Ritchie Coliseum opened about 8:30. And everything is running fine there. I don't have any information about lines at any particular place right now.
That is the last question I see. Give it another second to see if another question comes up. Seeing.
So Katie has a question about Brentwood. Right, so Brentwood was another location that they were open on time and were voting by provisional voting because they couldn't get the voting system set up, but they were open on time and everyone was voting provisionally, which is the contingency plan for the voting system.
And then finally, Sheila Cass asks if we are planning another briefing today.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to monitor what's happening throughout the day here. And nothing is scheduled right now, but I can assure you that if there's something that we think warrants another briefing, I'm happy to jump on later today and talk about that. Rick, hear me?
Yep, here we go. Can you address, just for someone who just joined, the percent of mail-in votes that have been returned so far?
Sure, let me get those numbers here. So as of yesterday, we have over 399,000 ballot packets returned. We've sent out about 639,000 packets. That report gets updated every day. If you haven't already visited our online press room, I would encourage you to just sort of bookmark that for the next couple weeks. It's on our homepage on the left-hand side under quick links. There's a link to the press room. And then in there, there's a tab for every election going back to 2010. So if you're looking to do some comparative analysis, you can go back and look at prior elections and compare the data that's posted for that election with the 2020 general. Again, just caution you, we've seen some significant changes, as you all know, in the increase in the mail-in voting and some changes in early voting turnout. But that ballot sent and ballot returned report gets updated every evening. So actually every morning, it runs through every evening, and then it's posted usually by 7 a.m. every morning. So you can track there how many ballots have been received to see the return rate. I think we're about 62% return rate right now, based on the data that was posted there this morning.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating, and stay in touch. We'll stay in touch throughout the day, and let you know if there's going to be another briefing at some point this afternoon. Thanks again. We will make sure everybody gets the link to the recording. Thanks.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.